Hey, and welcome back to part 2 of my 3-part series, which I will be editing a landscape picture today, which I know you're going to like because this one is one of my favorites, which I think I'm going to be printing at the end of this video. So stay tuned for that. But until then, let's just cut straight to the chase. Let's just get straight into the video. All right, welcome back to a new video. So, as I mentioned in the start, this is part 2 of my 3-part photo editing series, and today we're going to be doing this landscape. I'm really excited about this landscape because I have edited it a couple of times and it does come out pretty good. Comes out pretty good if I do say so myself. So today we're going to be really making the most of this image. I mean, it's already quite spectacular, I think, at least. I mean, it's just a beautiful rock face and it's a beautiful landscape. So let's gonna have some fun. So let's get crack into it. So first things first, I'm a realist. No, so first things first, we're going to pull up the exposure just a tiny bit, and we're gonna pull up the contrast, and we're gonna pop those shadows up like so, like that. And we're gonna pull in the blacks just a little bit so we can get to the curves. Now, from here, because it is quite bright, we are able to really pull out the most of this image that you can see just here. And now we have a pretty good base to work with, I feel, in this, we have a good base to work with. We'll just say that, I think it's easier. Come on, Nick, learn how to use your computer. So the next thing we are going to do is we're going to go to enhance. Now, this is something that I generally use for all of my landscape photography because it's just so easy. It makes the job so much faster and you don't have to really worry. Like you could literally just do that and then do that, and then, if you are someone who likes looking at that, then your edit is done. But I am not that person. I want to do a little bit more than that. So we are going to pull that accent right back, and we're just going to have the sky there. I think that's pretty good for the sky. So that's looking pretty good at the moment. Next, we are going to go into Twilight Enhancer. I'm going to put that there. It's chosen mauve, I guess, because that's the color palette that we're dealing with. I'm not really a color palette dude, but we're just going to show you that really that's where it's thinking, or Luminar, it's not it, Luminar has a name, it's thinking the image should go. So if we're going to pull this exposure here, and you can see just how much it's going to change it, and I'm just going to pull it to that, I think is a nice one. And that's looking pretty good. I like that. Let's have a look before, after. So it's just giving it a bit of a warm, bit of a pinky, bit of a warm sort of glow. I like it. It's pretty nice. So next, what are we going to do next? Sometimes you look at a picture and you just go, I have no idea what I'm doing, which is me for this picture, but I do like it, so I know what I want to do. And we're going to do a 16:10 crop because I like 16:10. It's a really, really nice aspect ratio, I feel. What do you think? I think on this, I mean, really, I could say I'm finished here because I look at that and go, man, that looks so nice. But I can't do that because it's a YouTube video, so we've got to really make the most of it because it ain't a 2-minute Tuesday video. So now we're going to go into the masking, and then from here we're going to do a linear gradient. We're going to pull up the linear gradient there, like so, and then we're going to go back to adjustments, pull in the shadows, and pull in the exposure just like that, and then up the contrast if it lets me. Just a little bit. Now this just, the reason you do something like this is because when you do it, like this without that adjustment, you get the whole image, you're taking in all of it at once. It's really, to me that's spectacular. There's a lot going on. It's really pretty because you're seeing all the image of the trees, you're seeing all the little individual branches, but if you adjust it, you darken it just that tiny little bit, you are able to then focus on the mountain in the background. It's so much easier. You haven't removed the trees because, you know, they're still there. You still want to admire them, but you don't want to admire them all at once. And it's all about just really honing in that specific thing that you want to look at, which is the mountain. Now, you know, if you did something like that completely, you kind of get where I'm coming from. You can see the mountain now, you can't see the trees. So it's sort of that concept, if that makes sense. You just, yeah, you know what I mean. I can't really put a linear gradient on both sides, because if I did, then the mountain range wouldn't really make sense, because as you can see, it goes along, it goes all the way along like this, and that's the subject, this lovely leading line of the mountain. So you're really only darkening one side of the image as opposed to the whole lot. Now, that's done. Lovely, really like it. So it's still on the mask mode, so we're just going to go into a little vignette, pull a tiny little vignette just to tell Luminar that you're done. And then now we are going to go into the color. So the reason why I want to just adjust this is because I feel it's a little bit too green, it's a little bit too blue. Now that's just me, I guess, and you know, maybe that's just how I feel. But you know, what do you think? Do you think it looks fine? Because it probably does, to be completely honest. But you know, everyone's different, I guess. So we're going to pull. No, we're not doing that. We're going to pull the blues back just a tiny bit like that, and we're going to go luminance, and we're going to lighten the sky just a tiny bit, just like that. And the same with the greens. We're going to pull the greens back just a little bit, and with the greens you also have to pull the yellows back, unfortunately, which does tend to pull out all of it, unless you mask it, which I'm not going to do because it's probably going to take way too long to do that. So instead we're just going to enhance the luminance of the yellow and pull down the greens, and then that just allows for, again, really honing in on the mountain in the background, because there's a lot of trees and they're beautiful, but you know, we want to look at that mountain and focus in on that. So that's what we've done. So next we're going to go into this twilight enhancer, but we're going to mask it because we just want to mask the sky. That's all I want to mask, and I want to enhance the sky, make it look a little bit, you know, evening mode, because who doesn't like seeing a lovely amount of sky? So let's go and pull this in. So that's, you can see that's the mauve. But what does blush look like? It looks terrible. That looks really bad. What about golden? Ooh. I don't know how I feel about that one, to be honest. Blue. What about blue? Ooh. That's just back to square one. Emerald. Nah, I think we're just going to go mauve. But we're going to pull the exposure up a little bit, like so, and then we're going to pull it in. Now, some might call this fake. And to a degree, it actually is. It is fake. But really, it's just that tiny adjustment. And you're not going so hard, like you're not changing the sky or anything, that it does become like a truly fake image, which, you know, there's so much of these days with AI. I mean, that's a story for another day. But you're adjusting the colors just that tiny bit, which, you know, just gives it a little bit more life, I suppose I could say, a little bit more life. So I think outside of that, we'll go and I'll put a little bit of a vignette in, because who doesn't like a vignette? And once it does, there we go. Once it's there we go. So that's that. The last thing I want to do, because now I think it's a little bit too dark, to be honest, is give it a little bit of light. A little bit of light. Like that. Like so. Like so. Get rid of that. Yeah, I like that. So that is the before, as you can see. Still perfectly fine. You could post that on your socials and it would look pretty good. But that's the after, and I'm really happy with that. I actually really think I want to print this. It's such a beautiful, beautiful location, and I really like that image. So I hope you do too. And anyway, yeah, that is photo number 2. This is the before, and this is the after. Right, I really hope you enjoyed this lovely little tutorial. It has been pretty straightforward, so I hope it made, you know, a relative amount of sense, the way that I've changed it through using Luminar. And it's quite easy to do it. Like, you don't have to go into any specific really hardcore tools. You don't have to go really fancy. You just have to adjust the colors just a slight amount. And I think that's what I want this series to be, to show that it doesn't have to be a task to edit photos. It can be a really quick little job. Like, this was a 10-minute edit, and that's me talking to the camera as well. 10-minute edit. So it doesn't have to be a big ordeal every single time and take up all of your evening. That's that picture. I hope you liked it. Smash the like button for me. It'd be a massive help. If you want to subscribe to see part 3, you are more than welcome. And I will see you, in that case, if you do, in the next video. All right. Speak to you soon.